So my name is Nick Wetzel. I'm a senior at Arizona State University. This assignment is an interview with an architect or a contemporary designer. And today I've got Mr. Bruce Miller with Populous. So Mr. Miller, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Well, again, I'm Bruce Miller. I'm the managing director of the Americas region for Populous. I sit on our global holdings board, which is our global company, and I head our regional board here in the Americas.
I'll start with the first one here. So what are just some key life experiences early on that helped form who you are today?
Building our house, working with Ted. Ted, my dad's friend, was my mentor from there forward. I would not see him all the time, but I would periodically stop by his office, and he was always there, always spent time with me, was a very gracious man, and he was the old school architect.
How did you become passionate or involved in architectural practice?
I'd say it evolved over time. The co-op program was great because I think I worked at 6 different types of practices in terms of typology and size and location. When I graduated, I worked doing custom homes on my own for about 2 years. And, all of those experiences really led me to believe that the most impactful thing I had seen to date was the work that Populous was doing.
Leads me to my third question. Do you implement any specific core values or teachings that you reflect in your practice?
I didn't rehearse this, but here they are right here.
Look at that.
And I think, we've got a consultant working with us now on our design or diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. And he's really a strategy consultant. And we certainly believe if we're going to change, that it has to be authentic. And he's told us we're absolutely authentic to the values that we espouse, which are entrepreneurial creativity, excellence, integrity, and of course, enjoyment.
With all those core values, I know you guys probably implement those from top to bottom of your company. Is it the same for a specific type of design process? Do you guys sort of have a way that you design or teaching, or is it just mostly come up with what you can do?
We believe in a collaborative process. We are not, a singular pen that says, this is what the design will be. We start with a very inclusive process. We have all of the soft disciplines in design, so to speak. We don't have any engineering, but we certainly bring those partners to the table from the very conception of the project all the way through to the end. We believe that everyone deserves a seat at the table, and with a seat at the table, you're expected to contribute.
Working together in a group, how does that happen? Is it in like meetings or Zoom calls, or how specifically do you guys collaborate to get work done?
Yeah, so we're a little bit different in that we have 8 offices across the Americas. We have 22 or 23 offices now globally. COVID's changed how we work together, honestly, for the better. We staff our projects from across all of the region. And so we don't have profit centers. We're one profit center. And therefore, we staff our projects from LA and New York and San Francisco, Dallas, Norman, Oklahoma, Denver, Kansas City. It just depends on bringing the right expertise to the table for that particular client and project.
The 6th question here. This one's a little bit different. I was just wondering if you have any specific architect or older professor, somebody that you really look to or go to when you need inspiration or something like that. It could be a famous architect, a professor, anybody.
Yeah, I'd have to say I'm a modernist at heart. I had a professor who ran Senior Studio and some of the other more advanced studios in our school. His name is David Nyland. And there's a PA Houses book that was a portfolio of his work. He was a white architect. He was um, very consistent in his approach, even though every building he did looked very different. I also love Richard Meyer. I think
Mhm.
his work is phenomenal.
In today's world, it's the seventh question. I was just wondering, what do you think in today's world is going to have the biggest impact on the future of architecture?
Well, it's probably the pat answer is technology. I think
Technology,
it,
that's what everyone says.
uh, the evolution of the practice will be dramatic in the next
Yeah.
10 years before I retire. You know, the change from paper documents to, you know, two-dimensional paper documents to a three-dimensional digital model. I think we'll see that in the next 10 years. And
Mhm.
honestly, the impediments aren't necessarily architecture and construction. It's more about legal and liability issues. And so we're beginning to dabble in that space in terms of trying to, in an integrated way, deliver the model as a contract document.
Okay, so this is on to the eighth question here. So I'm just asking, what advice would you give yourself if you were starting architecture today? What advice would you give yourself or to a student like me going into architecture?
Um, Hopefully, you have spent a lot of time in the art studio. I would say continue to sketch and draw with your hand. I think there is the danger of losing that process because of all the digital tools we have. And I should have done it more, you know. And to give you some context, when I was your age, I took programming classes because I thought that would lead, you know, and I quickly found with the advent of the Apple computer that it was really all about software. And so all of those torturous programs that I took in college on Fortran and programming languages, while they were interesting and probably good for my brain development, I've never used them.